Hello, and welcome to the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast, the injury market's top program for doctors, lawyers, and insurers who want to gain greater insight on how to improve patient recovery results and deliver better services in the U.S. injury market. Please welcome your host, Dr. Jeffrey Allen Kronk.
Okay, the thing I want to talk about today is your patients can refer a lot of injury patients into your clinic. Most doctors that I work with don't realize the resource that they have in their actual patients. So you're trying to actually build a personal injury practice. You want more injury patients. And a lot of doctors think that you go out to get those from attorneys or medical doctor referral relationships, and those are important. Those are good. Those are external relationships. But most doctors fail to understand that you have an incredible resource in your patients yourself, right? So you have to know how to use that resource, how to mine that resource, how to get that resource active and productive. Right now, for every 1,000 patients you have in your database, you have 110 injury incidents about in that database every year. So some of you have 10,000, 20,000 people in your database. Some of you have more than that. I mean, if you have 20,000 people in your database, you have 2,200 injury incidents in that database every year. But let's take it down. Let's not go to the big numbers. Let's just go to the individual patient, the patient that's coming into your office today that is an injury patient. How are you facilitating that injury patient to facilitate more injury referrals for you? See, I'm big on, if you're going to be doing something, if you're going to be in your clinic, see, a lot of doctors sit around, and I know this was myself included for a long time. You sit and you go, hey, you're working 60 or 70 hours a week. You're maybe adjusting 25, 30 hours a week, and then you're spending the rest of the time trying to figure out how to fill that time or how to grow, how to manage staff, and you're running around kind of spinning your wheels. And you're constantly thinking about things and you're always working and you've created this bit of a jail that may be productive for you, but you really can't get away from, right? In the injury space, that's not true. You can get away from your clinic because your clinic is the brand. You are not the brand. In every other aspect of your clinic, you're the brand. If you leave, people leave. They don't want to see anybody else but you. It's not true in the injury space. So you want to grow, especially in this economy right now. You want to grow an injury practice. You want to have, if you're at 2% or 0% or 5%, you want to double that. You want to go from 0% to 5% or 10%. If you're at 5 or 10%, you want to double that, right? If you're an all injury practice, then you will understand what I'm saying, because this is a way to maintain or help you to build that injury practice as well. So you got this patient coming in. Well, first of all, you got to have something unique that you're offering the patient. And we teach our doctors in our program, there's only 3 main injuries that you're working with, and the support ligament damage is the one that causes spinal instability. That's the one that causes the most problems. It causes the most symptoms. A disc herniation does not cause the majority of symptoms that a patient has. It's the support ligament damage that causes that. So once you understand that that is the missing thing. Support ligament damage and knowing how to assess it, knowing how to work it up, which is super, super damn easy. It's not hard to do, right? It's what the majority of chronic pain patients have that haven't been diagnosed, right? It's what you're going to make sure that your injury patient they're not going to go through that same process, because you're not a normal doctor. You're one of the best doctors in your area. You understand, look, there's disc herniation, there's support ligament damage, which causes excessive motion, or there's fractures. And you're going to determine where whatever injuries they have, you're going to determine it, but you're not going to miss the support ligament injury. You're not going to miss the excessive motion. You're not going to miss the spinal instability. That is the problem that most people who have chronic pain have never had diagnosed. So you're going to be explaining to the patient that you're not one of these clinics that misses that, right? So you're going to start from day one explaining the uniqueness of your service, right? So if I'm an auto mechanic, and one of the uniquenesses of my services is that we can turn around just about any issue in any car in 24 hours or less. We're cheaper, we're faster, and we're better diagnosticians. then basically if I have people coming into my automotive shop, one, I want them to experience that, but two, I want them to have material so they understand also and reinforce that so that they can refer everybody that they know into my automotive shop, right? Because eventually I may not have to market at all. Right. So working your patient base is a really good idea, but you got to teach them about the injuries. You got to teach them about the fact that when they have this spinal injury, that the excessive motion injury is the most problematic injury that they're going to have. That's the one that accelerates the degeneration in the future. That's the one that needs the most supportive care associated with it. That's the one that's going to cause them the most problems down the road. And you're going to want to teach them about the fact that they can have a disc herniation, but there's only two basic symptoms with a disc herniation, whereas they have other ligament damage. They have significantly more symptoms. Now, you want to give them some sort of educational material that educates them on this, that educates them on, hey, look, if they have a disc herniation, there's only two symptoms. If they have other ligament damage, and this is in general, there's always going to be cases where this is not the case, but in general, this is true. So you're going to want to actually have them see other symptoms that the support ligaments can cause, because they're going to start to go, oh my God, that's what my mom has. Oh my God, that's why she has headaches. Oh my God, that's why my coworker has low back pain. Oh my God, that's why. And they'll start to understand for themselves why people should be coming into your clinic to get evaluated, because one of the things you're going to be showing them is something that no other chiropractic clinic, no other medical clinic, no other naturopathic clinic, no other physical therapy center has ever shown them, because you're going to educate them. And why are you going to educate them? One, they'll get better results with your care. Two, they become referral machines. And that's what you want. But you have to start to promote your service in a way that the patient understands that, right? Patients should be educated on if they have a condition, a chronic condition from a spinal injury. How much does it cost? I mean, American Pain Association says if they have this condition in their lower back, it's going to cost them $9,000 to $19,000 per year to medically manage. It's not a insignificant thing. It's a significant thing. And so, but you got to educate them, right? You have to educate them on information. And that process starts right away in the first day with your materials, the materials that you hand to the patient. Now, if you're smart, or you're really, when I say smart, you're all smart. But if you're marketing smart, if you're smart with, hey, this is how I'm going to cultivate this person to be a better referring patient, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put them onto a email sequence. Let them know they're going to get it, an email sequence of things that you want them to understand so that it can help them to improve in their own recovery. That you're going to be sending them a series of emails, either yourself, you explain this, or your staff explains it, that they need to look for, that will reiterate exactly what you're saying, right? So day one, when they're in the clinic, the very next day, they get a welcome email to the clinic, and they get materials that they just got in your clinic in digital format, so they can definitely read about the condition itself. Now, in your materials, you're also going to say, hey, if you have a booklet, in the booklet, you're going to want to say, hey, if you have an attorney or you're working with a medical doctor, please pass this on to them. Why? Obvious reasons. It's going to stimulate interprofessional referrals. Contacts that you wouldn't necessarily have, that your patients are now getting for you. And if you know how to educate this and you know how to do this, it's one of the most powerful things you can do long term. Remember, growing a personal injury practice is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You do it over time, slowly over time. Now, it doesn't have to be slow. You can build it, really fast overnight. But what I'm saying is it's still a marathon, right? It's things that you do repetitively over and over and over again. So you send them a welcome letter, right? And then you send the materials about these injuries, these three main injuries. You send them digital downloads so they can download the material and get even more material. You teach them what they can do for themselves. You teach them about the importance of sleep. You teach them about very, very short emails, very short to the point. You teach them about the fact that water is really important. Hydration is really important. The body heals when it's sleeping. So sleep is really important, especially early on in the injury. And then you teach them about, what types of foods they could eat that are anti-inflammatory. Right? You send them another email and you teach them what supplements will help speed up their recovery. Supplements that anybody can get at a Walmart. Right? Now, if you have specialized supplements, good. You supplement the email with your type of supplements. But you want to make it easy for them to get the information. They get information about zinc, C, collagen, protein, omega-3s, turmeric, curcumin. And it's just basically powerful information of how they can start to help themselves. They get an email that teaches them about excessive motion injuries, about spinal instability. What is it? Why do so many people suffer from it? How easy is it to identify? And these are the things that you're actually doing every day in your clinic. You teach them what you look for. When people have chronic conditions, this is the main cause of that chronic condition. These are all going out in emails. Right? Now, this is email that they may pass on to somebody that they know. Hey, Mary, you got chronic headaches. Look at this information. Right? So you're arming your people to be better referral sources for you. You teach them, why do you do 3 times a week care? Why is that? Why is that to stabilize the spine? What are you doing and why are you doing it? Why do you taper that schedule down? You explain it to them in a simple email. You teach them about the fact that you may need an MRI referral and why. What would be the reason for that? First of all, when you're doing this, you're in the top 1% because 1% of the doctors do this, right? Because the other doctors will go, oh, this is too tough. This is too tough. Oh my God, how do I get this done? And if you're a doctor that does what I'm saying to do, you love that because it's a barrier of entry. Nobody else will do it. But it also makes you highly, highly unique. And that's what you want to be anyway. You want to be super, super unique, right? So you teach them about re-exams. What are you looking for in a re-exam? What are you doing with it? You teach them about supportive care versus maintenance care. What is the difference? Why is it important? Why do you spring that on them at the end? Hey, you should be coming in for the rest of your life at the end of injury care. We teach you want to talk about that right away. As a matter of fact, your initial information that you give to the patient will be talking about the fact that, spinal instabilities, if you take a spinal instability, if something's unstable, it's prone to erratic or unpredictable behavior. You're educating them about this day one. If your neighbor's unstable, they're prone to erratic or unpredictable behavior. Guess what? Spinal instabilities are no different. As a patient goes through treatment to stabilize the condition, it's not uncommon for flare-ups to occur. This may seem to the patient like they're right back at day one, but if you're explaining to them and your materials are explaining to them, you'll explain to them that you're not. You simply need to get in right away for a treatment or two, and you'll see that you'll be right back on your way to recovery. Now, also, you're explaining day one that at the end of the care, long-term supportive care suggestions may be promoted, right? So your materials are explaining why. Why do you need that? Right? Why would you need supportive care? And the patient doesn't go to supportive care. Your materials are going to explain, hey, good. So if all of a sudden 3 months, 6 months, 9 months after you're done with your care here, if the condition comes back, remember it's prone to erratic or unpredictable behavior, please don't think for a moment that our care didn't work. This is one of the biggest mistakes doctors make. Trust me, when patients leave your office and they've done acute injury care with you and nobody follows up with them, they'll have their conditions start to come back. Statistically, it's off the charts. So if you're not talking to them about that, you're not explaining that to them, if they hit that, they think that the care that you delivered was not very good, and it will shut down referrals, right? So of course you want to educate your patient, because an educated patient can seriously get you a lot of referrals. So these are things that you can do very simply in your materials and in your emails, so that you're, like in my clinic, I would want to have patients, and when I say, look, I'm going to teach them how to market for me, they never knew I was doing that, right? But I was doing it at the same time that I was working on them. And I was letting our materials actually go to work for us, so that I didn't have to have so many 60, 70, 80-hour weeks. Now, it took me a long time to figure this out. Once I figured it out, then it became very easy. So doctors, you definitely want to arm your patients with materials that make it easy for them to refer into you, right? So if a patient referred 5 injury patients to you, let's say you have a $10,000 case average, they referred $50,000 worth of care into you. Would you spend $1,000 on them for that? Would you spend $5,000, $10,000? Of course you would, right? You would do that, right? The stuff I'm talking about doesn't really cost any. I mean, it costs $2. It costs, $4 worth of materials. It doesn't really cost anything. So it's one of the highest ROI activities you can do in an injury practice. So on each of these podcasts, what I do is I just take a short subject, do a little bit of a riff on it, do a little bit of an education on it, and hopefully you got something from it. If you want to hear more about a particular topic, call us at 800-940-6513. I don't care what the topic is. Tell us what topic you would love to hear about. If you want any information about our program, our Smart Injury Doctors program, again, 800-940-6513. If you want information about our private Facebook group that we have oodles of really great information on, and I do all kinds of teaching and trainings and all kinds of things. It's free to you. Again, call us at 800-940-6513. We'll get you involved with it. Doctors, I really appreciate your time and attention today. And as always, I look forward to seeing you on the next podcast.
You've been listening to the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast, the #1 audio production show for professionals in the U.S. injury market that want to deliver better injury services to the patients, clients, or insureds they serve. If you like what you heard today, please leave us a review and don't forget to join us on our next program.